Let's take a look at some of the highlights before we get to those interviews as India pushed forward and were rewarded handsomely. This was a deflected goal that went into the back of the goal from Lerendiki. Well, Wales also had their opportunities, and eventually it was Millie Home with some smart play that found a way around the goalkeeper and off the second went and into the back of the goal. Deflected, but nonetheless the goal stood and the score was locked at 1 apiece. However, India pushed forward, and it was 2 minutes after the restart of the second half that they found another goal. Larendiki getting a name on the score sheet. But it was poor defensive play from the Welsh team that allowed Mumtaz Khan in. And it was India that was in full flight at this moment in time. Penalty corners. Hurrell had a fantastic game, repelled attack after attack and made some fine saves. But at the end of the day, there was nothing she could do. Eventually, something had to give. Larendiki getting a name on the score sheet for the second time in this match. Yet there was one more goal to come. High fives around the dugout for Erik Van Dijk. And that was a fine finish from Deepika. Controversial goal because we didn't know if the ball had gone out of the circle before going in.
Let's look back at what happened in this game. Here are our goals scored. Of course, we saw poacher extraordinaire Aina Kreskin open the scoring. She quickly added her second, reacting to a well-deflected shot through the legs. The journey for her didn't stop at 2 though, as she was able to add Germany's third and her third, picking up a brilliant 45-degree ball and finishing it off superbly. 3-0 eventually became 4-0 just before the break, as the number of penalty corners that Germany had eventually led to a goal. 4-0 at the halftime break. The Germans' coach was not happy with their execution, and so they raised the game in the second half. Fleshwich making it 5-0 into an empty net. Really the kind of chance that she shouldn't miss, and she didn't. Strauss then able to finish from a Newman ball, knocking it into the top left corner before we saw the goal of the game. Lily Stoffelsma creating her own amount of space with a good little cross and finishing with the kind of shot that flew past the keeper quicker than she had a chance to react. That ball was still climbing as it raced into the roof of the net. 7 is not where the Germans stopped, as they carried on looking for the 8th. A cross. Player of the match, Blue, getting the goal that she deserved by reversing, creating space and firing in a shot that the keeper maybe felt she could have done better at. It was 8 to the Germans. 8 became 9 as Monique Newman reacted the best and fired a ball straight through the keeper's legs. Was there enough time for the Germans to become the first team to reach double figures? The answer to that question was a resounding yes, there was, as a ball heading just wide was turned in by Schwaber to make it Germany 10, a 10 out of 10 performance to start the tournament in a game that truly they were not tested at enough.
As the United States had dominated in all departments, and it was Charlotte de Vries that got the goal-scoring action underway with a deflected shot at the far post. What a shot that was then for the US of A, taking a 1-0 lead. And then in the 39th minute, Hope Rose got the first of her goals, and it came from open play to make it 2-0. A slight deflection, and Hope Rose was on hand to make it 2-0 in favor of the young woman in red. Zimbabwe gave away possession way too easily, and Varney combined with Hope Rose to set her up for her second, just 3 minutes after scoring her first goal. And then 6 minutes later, Hope Rose had completed her hat-trick, a deflection at the far post and given a penalty stroke after it came off the final defender. She didn't make any mistake from the spot and had her hat-trick in hand, the fourth of the tournament so far. She wasn't done just yet. Deflection at the far post, and Hope Rose went to the top of the goal scorers list here at the FIH Hockey Women's Junior World Cup in Potchefstroom, South Africa. Let's take a look then at the results so far of the day. And plenty goals scored. India beating Wales by 5-1. Germany got into double figures as they beat the debutants Malaysia 10-0. And United States bouncing back an emphatic style, beating Zimbabwe 5-0. So as it stands in Pool A, the United States, Zimbabwe, as well as the Netherlands all sit on 3 points. The next game, though, is Canada up against the tournament favourites, the Netherlands.
It started early on in the game with Meta Winter being on the end of a passing move and being able to finish. Yep, Dicker started her goal and scoring adventure with a wonderful driving dive to make it 2-0. There was one more goal in the first quarter, Luna Fokker, before they added a fourth and fifth to De Wit with the fourth, and fifth to Baptisma with a wonderful deflection. 5-0 at the half-time, asking for better penalty corner execution, and it came through Fokker and Dicker scoring the 6th and 7th goals. Dicker then completed her hat-trick with an 8th, creating some space and a backstick finish. 8 became 9, with Dicker's shots being turned down before it got back, and Dicker ran onto it to finish once again. We then had the 10th goal of the game as Baptisma finished off into the bottom right corner, and to wrap it all up, Luna Fokker looking for the cross, and Dicker getting the touch for her 5th goal and taking her to top of the goal scoring. It was one shot for the Canadians in a really emblazoned day of lesson learning. 42 circle penetrations in one-way traffic. So let's look at what happened today. A 5-1 win for India, 10-0 for Germany. United States getting back on track with a 5-0 win, and Netherlands 11-0. Now we have one game left coming to you at the top of the hour. It will be Ireland versus England, with a place for the top 8 up for grabs if England are able to win. Here's the highlights. Let's look at what happened here. Ireland opened the scoring through their captain Purdue, a deflected shot. It really stung the English, and they struggled with that early on, but they fought back and they were able to get their way back in the game when they were awarded a penalty stroke for an intentional push off the ball that resulted in a penalty stroke. Captain Giglio stood up and finished it absolutely superbly. It was then the Maddie Long show as she put it through to Vicky McCabe. McCabe ran through and fired it into the bottom right corner for a match-winning goal that was superb.